In today's episode, we answer your questions on how to stay focused and stay on track.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Thor Conklin here. We give you the tricks, the tips, the tools, the strategies that peak performers use to get better results than 99.99% of the population. If you know what to do but struggle with getting it all done, or simply want to raise your game and get more done, this podcast is for you. Sit back and relax. The question of the day comes in from
Meredith in Seattle. And Meredith would like to know, how does she stick to her diet and nutrition as a part of achieving her physical goals?
Well, as you know, I can give you some specifics on this because I've struggled in this area and I've documented this quite extensively, and I continue to refine it. And I've got to tell you, I'm at the point now where I realize that I need to make some adjustments as well in the strategies that I'm using, because I've slipped back, not horribly, but I've slipped back and still not getting to that end result that I want, which is 198 pounds. I'm still struggling around that 220 mark. And again, due to my size, 6'4", and my muscle size, I look in great shape, but it's not where I want to be.
Mm-hmm. But aren't you a peak performer?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're acknowledging that peak performers struggle with things?
Yes, ma'am.
And what exactly is your problem?
What's my opportunity?
Sure, go with that.
Well, look, first of all, let's acknowledge that what's worked in the past may not work in the future. Number one.
True.
Okay, what's gotten you to this point may not get you to the next stage. And that's something really difficult for a lot of people to understand. Just because it worked before doesn't mean it's going to work again, and you may need to tweak it in order to get to the next level.
That's true.
I always am talking about accountability. You've got to measure, you've got to track, and you've got to be accountable. Well, I'm definitely accountable in this area. I've made my goals very public, and I've been tracking over the last almost 2 years my weight every single day. But what I realized is I'm tracking something that is the result and not the driver. You've heard me talk about key performance indicators, KPIs. Well, that's the result. What I really focus on in my goals is my critical drivers, the things that are going in that produce the results. Let's face it, with health and nutrition, with weight, it's all about food. And I don't know about you, but I hate tracking food and what I'm eating, and I just don't like doing it. But I realize by not doing it, it makes it easier for me to cheat.
Mm-hmm. Because you realize that if you had to write into some app or chart that you had those milk duds, you might not have them.
I'm sorry, I had trouble hearing that. I think you said milk duds.
I think I did say milk duds.
I like milk duds. Okay.
Well, if you had to tell someone that you were eating them, you might not eat them.
Yes, and I have eaten them in the past. As a matter of fact, I had a couple last night, I believe, during a movie.
I think so.
Yes, but what I did this morning is I actually woke up, and based on a guest on the show that you're going to hear in a couple weeks, he suggested an app called MyFitnessPal.
MyFitnessPal, yes.
A free app. And you've got to plug in what you eat. So I said, you know what? I need to mix up my strategy. I need to get better in this area. So that's what I started doing this morning. And I realized that when I'm tracking and putting down and writing everything that's going in my mouth, I'm making better choices because I don't want to go on the app and look up milk duds.
Oh, you don't?
No, I don't.
Okay. And you don't want to see later when you're 224 a bunch of milk dud entries?
Correct.
Uh-huh.
So let me give you some strategies here that should help. Number one, you've probably heard the Hawaiian proverb, where focus goes, energy flows. I've come up with a chart that I did a few years ago, and I want to go through this and follow along. I do believe where focus goes, energy flows. However, so much of what we do starts with energy. And what I mean is, if you wake up in the morning and you're still tired and you have no energy, what is the likelihood that you're going to be able to execute your goals at the highest level?
Not very likely.
Not very likely. So what goes into energy? Your diet, oxygen, hydration,
Sleep.
sleep. Your level of energy will enable you to stay focused. But there's more to the equation. Your focus on something is either going to be a positive focus, a neutral focus, or a negative focus, or somewhere in between. So let's say that you wake up in the morning and you're focused on doing the right thing nutritionally, getting to the gym. If you're excited about that and you view this process as something that's easy and enjoyable, is it more likely that you're going to do it?
Yes.
So it's not only what you're focused on, but what your perception of that focus. What is the emotion that you associate with that activity or that focus? That matters. And this is where I want to dive into my chart. Your focus creates the emotion. Your emotion determines your action. Your actions determine your results. Your results then in turn affect what?
Your emotions again.
Your emotions again. And it starts a cycle. And it can be a upward cycle or a downward cycle. Now, if it's an upward cycle, what's happening to your energy level? Going up or going down?
Up.
Exactly. If your emotions and your actions are not positive and they're producing negative results, what's happening to your energy?
Down.
Down, exactly. Now, could you have great emotions and great actions and still get not so great results?
It'd be more challenging to get not so great results.
But it happens.
It happens. Well, and I suppose you could wake up in the morning and you could focus on how you were 224 and you didn't want to be, and how it'd be so difficult to get from 224 to 214, and how that seems nearly impossible, and the work it would take to get there. And that would start a negative cycle, right?
No question.
And then how would you break that? You're starting with the wrong emotion. You could wake up and you could start with the wrong emotion. Oh, I got on the scale and I'm 224. And I feel like I ate well yesterday and I barely ate anything and I'm still 224. And no matter what I do, this is always going to be at 224. That's a negative thought pattern. And how do you block or stop that?
This is where so many people fall down and they forget about the last step of the ultimate success map. And that is time. Sowing and reaping. It takes time in order for the behaviors and the actions to show up on the scale in this case. When you find yourself in that pattern, you've got to break it. Whether you just drop to the floor and do a couple push-ups, do a couple jumping jacks, turn on some great music. That's one of the things I like. You've got to just move your body and start getting into a different psychology.
Establish some positive momentum.
Absolutely. And understand that it takes time for things to show up. So let's see if we can recap here real quickly. Number one is always understand that your strategies might need to be tweaked, changed. What's worked before may not work in the future. Second, energy plays a big factor in your results. Make sure you're doing everything to make your energy level as high as possible. Your energy is going to flow into your emotions. Your emotions are going to lead to your actions. Your actions are going to lead to results, and your results are going to lead back into more emotions. You want to fuel that in the right direction. Now, are you going to mess up along the way? Sure you are. So what do? You just keep going. And understand this principle as well. I hear this all the time. I feel like I've got to start over. You're not starting over. You're simply picking up where you left off. There's a big difference there. So, like you, I'm on this journey as well, and I'll report back of how my tweak and my strategy has helped. But, I think I already know the answer, and that is whatever gets measured, whatever gets tracked gets attention, and what gets attention gets done, gets improved.
And it's important to note this. You can always change it the next day.
Well, you can always change it the next second.
You can always change it the next second, but you can always change it the next day.
Yeah, look, you've got a box of Milk Duds. You can have one more or you can finish the box. It's your choice.
Yeah. And if you finish the box, you can always eat broccoli tomorrow.
I was thinking you could get another box.
Don't do that. Negative cycle.
Don't do that. That was the first thing that came to my mind, though. Oh, if we run out of Milk Duds, we can go get more.
Thank you, Meredith.
Right. Question of the day. Where in your life does the strategy need to change a little bit? Where do you need to spend more time looking at the critical drivers, those things that produce the results that you're looking to get? What changes do you need to make? Implement those changes. Start tracking those changes, measuring those changes along the way. And what steps can you take in order to increase your energy level? Is it hydration, nutrition, sleep?
60 seconds worth of jumping jacks.
There you go. Thank you for listening. As always, please share these episodes with friends, family, coworkers, or anyone that could benefit from this information. Head over to thorconklin.com. Please sign up for the weekly newsletter. As always, these episodes are meant to be consumed during dot time, doing other things, fishing for big-mouth bass.
Eating milk duds.
No eating milk duds.
Eating broccoli.
Eating broccoli, there you go.
Crying about how you can't eat milk duds.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for listening. Until tomorrow, have an absolutely amazing day.